It's your boy, Fresher Luke. I'm here to tell you about a new book and IP that I'm looking to get off the ground. The project in question is called Forsaken Gods, a 60-page, full-color comic book that follows the adventures of an archaeologist named Samara and her search in trying to find out what caused a great war between the gods, which resulted in the world to be filled with magic, dragons, spirits, and monsters, as well as ancient magical artifacts of immense power. Anyway, the story of the book takes place when Samara and her hired help enter a vault that sits under the Great Iron Horse Mountain, as she looks for clues to the war's origin. Once there, her entire team is killed, leaving her to try and escape on her own, only to come face to face with an amazing weapon known only as the Skull Knight. This is issue 1 of a potential multi-issue series exploring Samara and her journey in trying to figure out who or what Skull Knight is, while also being pursued by deadly foes, hell-bent on either capturing or destroying the creature. As she is not only a woken Skull Knight, but also the long-sleeping old gods that survived the war who see the Skull Knight as a threat to their remaining power. The book itself will contain 50 pages of story with 10 pages of behind-the-scenes sketches, plus special guest art from some exceptionally talented artists and concept designers. All of it will be in full color. On top of that, also included in the base tier are some stickers and a special custom-made trading card featuring none other than the Skull Knight himself. If this sounds like a project for you, then vote with your dollar and back this campaign on Indiegogo. And also, feel free to spread the word via social media as well. Many thanks. I'm Fresher Luke, and thank you for considering Forsaken Gods. I hope to see you at the finish line.
All right, well, that's the stream. You've just told us the whole book. So,
and then you missed out on the big crescendo at the end.
Welcome everyone. Sorry, I just had the video started playing again in another screen, so I've just been that Forsaken Gods comes in and my eardrums burst out. Welcome, Fresher Luke. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, an honor! Fantastic, great to hear.
No,
all these people give me compliments now, and I'm like, oh, that's the first time anyone said my show is professional. And
no, I'm always honored to be on anyone's show if they invite me on, or if I ask for them to have me on. I think it's important to. Because, they're taking time out of their day to sort of have you on to talk about yourself, which is, who wants to, no normal person would ever want to do that to a great extent. So,
well, it's my pleasure, buddy. And just to bring you back down to earth, this is my lunch break. I'd just be sitting there eating a piece of toast otherwise. So I'd much rather meet some cool comic people. We also have Joe and Poland here, and Blue is in the house as well. How you going, guys?
Toast? You mean fairy bread?
That's after the toast. The toast
Hey,
is the
Luke,
main course.
Luke, I'm hearing an Australian accent there.
Yes.
Are you an Australian?
I am Australian, yes.
But okay. You're living in the States, clearly.
Clearly, yes. Yeah.
Clearly. You told me, I shouldn't say clearly to you and I, you said you're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Before the show.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to start off the show very quickly by saying hello to all the amazing people we got here in the chat here. We've got Christopher John, Skip Edwards is here, Rick Saylor, Camel Moon. Great to see you guys.
Todd Struth.
Lord Finatra. Todd Struth.
Albino Thunderbuns. We're trying to hurry it along. Keep going. Lord Crackhead.
All right. You're throwing me off my game here, boy. Boogiebot Comics is here. Did I say VIP already? I didn't. How you going, VIP? Lord Finatra. Art Mark 88.
El Largo. Gotcha.
Getting in there. Yeah, there's Todd Struth. And Crackhead's here. Struth House. Do you ever bring out any of the Aussie slang over in the States there?
Only when I want to get laid.
Does that work, does it?
It does. I've had so much pussy. I've had so much pussy flung at me, it's insane.
Oh well, you were telling me you didn't like to big up yourself, but here you are. Just
Oh no, I mean, look, I always enjoy hamming it up and just acting like a clown now and then, just for just to make people laugh. Because
you got to keep up the Aussie stereotype.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. But it's kind of, I don't know if it's like a cross between sort of ironic comedy and sort of genuinely just being silly and just wanting to have a good time.
El Gargoyle's here. Who said? Art Mark said the trailer is laggy. Yeah, sorry about that. It's the Australian
Art Mark
internet.
is one of my regulars. He's a good stalker. He's a great fan.
It's always good to have stalkers. Rick Saylor's in the house. Did I say that already? He says 16 of us here, only 11 thumbs up. Come on, we can do better than that. Mo Biggs is in the house. He isn't here to check whether or not we were late. Clearly, we were on time, so it's all good. We don't have to worry about that. Well, there's a lot of people here. Fantastic, great to see. Oh, and Bandito is in the chat as well.
And El Gargoyle, he's in there. He's been helping me out. Yeah. He's a great guy.
All great guys. Great guys. Sexiest chat in CG over here.
Definitely.
All right. I was saying to you before we started that we're going to get to know each other a little bit, Fresher Luke. You've already divulged that you're a sexy Australian using his blessings over there in the States.
Well, I mean, they have no effect now because obviously everything's gone to hell, as you know. But but back when things were good, I was cleaning up.
Plus, as well, with all these Aussies starting to stream now, these Americans can just go on and get their fill of any of Australian accents as much as they want.
Yeah,
it's so many of us these days.
Yeah. So, oh well.
Oh no, Mo is calling me out. I was around a minute late. Outrageous. I can never live it down. Yeah. So, do you have American citizenship? Are you working over there? What's the go there?
I have American citizenship because actually I won't say the reason why because there are 12 there are 12 psychopaths. I'm an American citizen. There you go.
There you go. So how long have you been living there? Because you still have a pretty strong accent there.
Oh, thanks. No, well, the thing is I've lived here for 10 years now. But the reason why my accent is strong today is because you're talking. And because you're talking, I have this sort of subconscious thing where I start to mirror Australians' accents a bit stronger than I normally would, as I would say around a bunch of Americans. So.
Give me what's your normal American accent sound like then?
No, I don't.
You don't do that?
No, I only do. I do like an exaggerated one when I'm like making fun of people. I don't really. I try not to do it too much.
Good to see we've got Unhinged in here as well. 656 Comics is here. Antoine is here. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Got a lot of awesome people hanging out here. They want to get to know you as well.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, that's what we do here. I'm a private
person.
You don't have to give any details, but anyone can just go and check out Forsaken Gods on Indiegogo, but not anyone can actually speak to the man himself behind it.
Oh, well, no, I mean, that's not true. I mean, social media means anyone could. It just depends on the level of detail of an answer I would give, right?
It depends on how willing you are. Well, we've got you here now.
Yes.
This I read down through your this isn't your first comic. You've done something before.
Yeah, so I did many years ago now, 380-page graphic novel called Bikini Cowboy that I self-published. Yeah, and I printed 500 copies, and I took them to various small press expos in like the US and Canada, and I sold out of all of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that one was called, remind me?
Bikini Cowboy.
Bikini Cowboy, yeah.
Yeah. It's at the bottom.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about that or a little bit?
No. I was just going to say Bikini Cowboys. That's a funny name. I mean, we'll talk a bit about Forsaken Gods in a bit. But okay. Is that that was your first comic that you did?
That was my first graphic novel. Obviously, when I was younger, I did a lot of like Xerox comics, so to say. And they were just, usual, just throwaway kind of stuff because I was still kind of trying to learn how to do stuff. But Bikini Cowboy is probably my first like big, like decent graphic novel that I had done and self-published.
When you say when you're younger, you sound like a young man. You have a young man's voice.
And I have a young man's body, but I am an old man. So I'm one of those immortals you hear about.
Nice. Anything in particular that you do to keep your immortality going?
It was living in Australia, funnily enough, and then I left.
Stayed out of the sun then.
Yes, I think that's probably a big contributing factor. But I did go to the beach a lot, and the food there is great. But I left and I went to America, and now I'm actually slowly starting to age again.
Well, you're going to have to come back to the lucky country.
Oh, if I could ever afford it.
So, when did you start work on Forsaken Gods?
I like how Mark says Luke is a Highlander. Yes, that's correct. The reason I look so young.
Only one.
Yeah, I've been through a lot of quickenings, so that's why I'm so young. When did I start doing Forsaken Gods? That's a good question. I think I started drawing and writing it, I think about a year ago, because I had actually tried to crowdfund this property before and it had failed. Yeah, so about a year ago is when I wrote and drew it. Yeah.
Yeah, did you try on Indiegogo or on Kickstarter or something, or just?
Yeah, it was on Indiegogo, and it was it wasn't the same campaign that you see here today. It had it was lacking a lot of stuff, lacking a lot of what do you call it, like lacking a lot of draw, I guess is probably what I mean.
A little bit of that je ne sais quoi, that panache. But also, it was different even a year ago on Indiegogo, because you've probably no doubt found out that, a lot of the success of your campaign comes down to getting out onto shows and talking it up constantly. Yeah. Yeah. And there just weren't that many, smaller shows that you could get on. You only had a few, and they were all really big, and it was harder.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest at the time was probably Ethan Van Sciver's one, and I think there were like maybe one or two more. But the landscape was definitely a lot different back then. But now we got new channels like yourself, like popping up and getting bigger, which is great. Which means it's kind of strengthening the network, which is really good because we need a strong network if we're going to build this, this arc out of. Hell.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you guys have any questions for our fresher Luke here? I see you just sitting there quietly.
We're just admiring the Australian love here. Just mutual gushing.
How many Aussies are doing this? It's starting to get weird.
Michael, your channel's up and coming. It's so great. Well,
I found out.
Great. You sound like a young man.
I love your accent. I can't help but imitate it.
I found out about Fresh. Can I just call you Luke? It feels weird.
Yeah, you can call me whatever you want, man.
Okay, cool. I found out about Luke through another channel, Shay's channel, Red Valkyrie. Another up-and-coming channel.
She was great. I love doing that channel.
She's a great host. Yeah, I've done that show as well. I got to do it again because she said she would. I've got a character in my book who's like a lava man. He's covered in, imagine like just cracked stone with lava and sparks flying out. And my main character is a redhead in a jacket. So she just kind of came on as herself.
All she wears is the jacket. She's just completely naked.
Well, she does wear other stuff.
All right. Damn it.
But I said next. I mean, I see all these. She puts in all this effort to dress up as people's characters. I said next time you're going as the lava guy. and she said she would. So I really do have to hook that up at some point because I want to see that.
Yeah, I really liked going on that because not only did she cosplay as Samara, which was just blew me away. I was like, what? She also had like a lot of really great advice to give me. She was really helpful. I learned a lot from her. So
Look,
yeah.
606 is here. Everyone agrees Shay is the best.
Yeah, she totally is. And her
Unhinged as well.
her dog made a cameo appearance as well, which was hilarious.
Hey, Metal Movies and Brewskis is here, and he says, "What's up, Thunderbuns?"
America.
Look how
America.
look at the represent. Is there any particular reason why you're so patriotic today, Joe?
There is, actually. I went yesterday onto the wild highways and byways of Southern California, refusing to wear a mask within my vehicle with the windows rolled up. And I thought I was free until I had to stop and let the kids take bathroom breaks. And we all had to put on masks because we wanted to enter a public building. Why were we out on the highways and byways of Southern California, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. We took a little road trip up north to the T-Bear homestead, where we had a good old-fashioned American barbecue in the backyard, had a pool party, and celebrated the fact that just for a few hours, we were free. In the land of the formerly free, the home of the usually brave, for a few hours, we felt like Americans. And
Wow.
so, as I joined the show this evening, I just wanted to recapture a little bit of that spirit, and yet, at the same time, honor my Aussie host as I drank a little Koopa's Sparkling Ale.
Oh, look at that!
Get yourself a Koopa's today. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate! Fantastic! What a marriage of America and Australia.
Isn't that kangaroo pee?
No,
It's all
Koopas is
kangaroo.
good.
It's all kangaroo piss, man. That's
Well,
the
thank
secret.
you. Thank you for that interlude, Joe.
It's Koopa's, Australian for beer.
Joe,
actually,
I feel your pain.
Joe
I was on
actually
the road
does a
trip
pretty
again.
good. He does a pretty good accent.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
What was that, Paul?
Australia.
Sorry,
I
Paul.
was going to say I had a road trip today as well,
How'd it
coming
go?
back here. And I stopped to pump gas. And I said, I want to go inside to use the restroom, but then I'd have to get this mask and put it over my face again. So I was like, I'll just hold it. Don't worry about it.
Attaboy.
I'm just going to go home where I can be free in my sanctum.
Pee and breathe free at the same time.
I actually read today that there are some universities requiring you to wear masks during your Zoom meetings.
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's to foster solidarity. That's what
Yes. It's
no.
So if you ever if you ever thought it was performative, I think that is the prime example.
Wow.
I don't
Yeah.
mean to imply that anybody should ever be reading or following my Twitter, but I did post a few days ago a good video about the types of narcissism. And the one that it's not just that you do virtue signal, but that you must virtue signal, that urge that you can't help but do it. That's the fourth type. And now we have people imposing that from the outside, that you must virtue signal you're wearing a mask during a Zoom meeting, and they call it solidarity. Like, oh, such bullshit.
Hey, going back to the beer.
Beer?
Yeah, beer.
This is a true
Luke,
statement. the one
Yes.
that's popped up.
Did you ever drink a Foster's in Australia?
I
Are you a beer
did once.
drinker? I didn't- You did?
I used to have a drinking problem back in Australia, but that was through
Oh.
peer pressure.
I thought every Australian
we
had
do like a
drinking
drink
problem.
here. Yeah. I didn't get a
I've-
drinking problem until I started going on streams.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't
But,
even know they sold Foster's in Australia.
Yeah, it's Victoria's beer, but I think it's owned by the Japanese now or something. I don't know. Oh no,
Yeah,
it's Canadian, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know who owns it. I don't know who owns it, but But yeah, I haven't seen it anywhere. I do recall seeing a can of it somewhere. So obviously you can get it. But I just know, a lot of Australians, the first time they ever drink a Foster's is when they go overseas. And they don't like it. We've got another
actually-
Aussie in here too. Liam's here as well.
There he is. Hey, Liam.
Yeah, Foster's it's got nothing on the old goon bag, eh, Mike?
the flag and a Wombler? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's another thing we say? Yeah,
What's
nah.
that? Yeah, nah.
Nah,
Yeah,
yeah.
nah.
Everybody says that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we could do this until the cows come home.
We could. We're supposed to be talking about a book.
Yes.
You'll notice we do get easily distracted here,
It's
and we purport to we advertise and we celebrate that we're the least professional show in all of CG. But going back to Forsaken God, so you said you drew and wrote it. Are you the everyman on this book? You doing everything?
yeah, pretty much. I'm coloring it. I'm lettering it. Just because I can't really afford to get anybody to help me do it. So
I hear you.
I'm the one-man band.
If you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
That's what
I
this
say.
man's doing too.
Yeah, I do
Are
the
there-
same thing.
Are there parallels between this and Bikini Cowboy?
In what way?
Bikini Cowboy has a woman who is protecting a child, and essentially, it sounds like ends up accidentally going on a walkabout with the child. The spiritual journey to find yourself.
Yes.
And here we have a woman doing, whatever in a war zone and discovering the secret behind the greatest weapon. So I'm wondering, you have two wandering women. Are there any other parallels
Well,
between the stories?
No,
Okay.
there's actually zero. I mean, it's interesting you made that connection, but no, there's no connection. She's not really wandering. She does have like a home, and she has a family, and
Okay.
and we will potentially meet her family in future issues. But no, there's no real correlation between those two things. I wanted to try and do a different story.
Mhm.
That was my goal.
So good. It is a different story. You're done
No.
with one drum. You're moving on to the next.
I guess so. I mean, I'll never be done with Bikini Cowboy. I've got the 600-page sequel all thumbed out and written out.
Yeehaw.
Damn, you like
But,
to go big, huh?
Well, I feel like Bikini Cowboy is it's my magnum opus. It's got such a deep story, and it's about so many important things and so many philosophical things. Now it's one of those things where people say it writes itself, and Bikini Cowboy is definitely writing itself. Like there's something going on. Like I've never achieved that kind of level of flow before with anything else.
Well,
I've
yeah.
done.
I mean, in my experience, that just means you've got real characters and a real story. So
Yeah.
it sort of like goes on its own beat
Yeah,
under its
so-
own steam. That sounds cool. When are you sort of? I mean, if you're only just thumbing it out now, have you got any kind of rough timeline of when you're going to be looking to release that second book?
That's a very good question.
Too far in the future.
I will look. I'll say this. Like I tried to get the first book. I tried to get a reprint funded for the first book on Indiegogo, and that failed miserably also. So I don't like. This is uncharted territory for me right now, because like this is my first time I've had a campaign that's been funded, and I don't know if the next campaign will do better or do worse. So I'm not sure how I should proceed, whether or not my next campaign should be Bikini Cowboy Book 2, or if it should be Forsaken Gods Issue 2. You know what I mean?
I feel that. I mean, usually what happens is if you get to the point where you do build an audience to the point where you do get funded, and then you produce the book. I don't recall anyone losing, like going under the next time round. That's usually that's a massive achievement just to do. We're finding out, actually getting funded and then fulfilling the book. So I think a lot of people do appreciate that. So I think you will have a lot of goodwill there. But yeah, that is a conundrum. Do you give them more of what they know now, or do you try to do something new?
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm one of these guys that doesn't want to, like, right now in Hollywood, they're doing reboots and remakes and all this other stuff. And I don't like that at all. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do something new, and I want to try something new each time. Otherwise, I'm just going to get bored to death.
Are you saying that reprinting Bikini, the first volume of Bikini, would just not be doing something new?
No, because I'm not. It's fine if I'm reprinting it, because the artwork and stuff is already there, right? It's if I took the first book and redrew the whole entire thing.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't feel like doing that because that's not new enough, right?
Yeah, it's like you got to move on. You got to kind of go, all right, well, I made my mistakes there. Time to learn from them and do the next thing. Yeah.
You're such a laid-back dude when you talk. This is so rare for me, talking to another Australian on here. It's so different to talking to an American. It's like, yeah,
I'm just really high.
This is how we are here. All right, man. Well, let's start talking a little bit about Forsaken Gods. I don't know if you want to do an elevator pitch, or you just want to kind of.
The video was the elevator pitch.
The video was the elevator pitch. You're right. But
we can expand on that. We can expand on that.
Absolutely. I mean, this is your show. You can kind of sell the book however you see fit.
This is my show. Is it excellent? You're all fired. I'm taking over.
Taking over.
Kick. No, I'm just joking.
Spoken like a true Melbourne politician.
Man, if only you knew.
Yeah.
And here we go. This guy here.
Yes.
This guy here with the exploding head skull business. Skull Knight.
Yes.
Yeah, expand on that, because man, I gotta say, that's some pretty friggin' rad character design there.
Thanks. Yeah, everybody has said that whenever I've shown them Skull Knight, like just some drawings of him. So that's awesome. Hooray. Yeah, so Skull Knight is he's the other main character of this book. He is, as you can see, a flaming skull encased in this giant magical suit of armor. And his whole thing is that he is duty bound to follow Samara around everywhere she goes. Because the context of this issue is when Skull Knight and Samara first meet. And how they first meet is she's trying to find a particular artifact in this particular dungeon that Skull Knight has been entombed in, that she can then take back to her brother's museum, and they can use it to hopefully generate some money to keep the museum afloat, because it's originally their parents' museum. And so when Samara goes into this dungeon, her entire crew that she hired gets killed as a result, because they've tripped a trap within this thing, as dungeons do have. They have traps, booby traps, and other kinds of traps, and so she manages to survive, and she gets lost in the dungeon, and so she's trying to find a way out. And in a way, in her efforts to try and escape, she inadvertently awakens Skull Knight, and because she's the one that awoke him, as I said before, he is now bound to her. Like he has to do as she commands, he has to protect her, and he follows her around everywhere. And of course, she doesn't understand that at first, because Skull Knight can't actually talk. He can't communicate, he can only scream. That's his only mode of communication.
Right.
Yeah, and so the other thing about Skull Knight is, even though he looks absolutely menacing and absolutely frightening, he actually is quite friendly and quite nice. The thing that he doesn't like is to kill and hurt people, but because, in the video it mentions that there was this great war between the gods, and Skull Knight was actually used as a weapon within that war against his will, because, whoever was in control of him at that time was using him to fuck shit up. And but he is, it's sort of part of the humor. Like he's very friendly, and he's always trying to be friends with people, but they're just always running away from him, screaming, going, "Oh my god!" So yeah, excuse me, sorry.
I'm hearing, when you describe the character to me, he sounds a little bit like other sort of characters that we know from other things. Is there inspiration there?
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah. People have made that call before, which is totally fair. I understand that. Obviously, I'm someone who's grown up on a lot of great stuff, and I have a lot of love for that stuff, and I kind of want to, I guess, pay homage to them in my own little way, but still kind of keep it unique.
It's almost like a I don't know if it's an archetypal character, this sort of giant protector type thing, but I just like, just off the top of my head, I'm just reeling through a few stories, where you've got a character like this. I'll have fond memories of these types of stories. So is this like a story that kids can read?
It depends. I'm not entirely sure. I have actively tried to make it more of a all ages kind of book. Mm-hmm. Having said that, there is a little bit of violence in it, but I'm trying to keep that tasteful as much as I can. Probably the worst thing in the book is off the top of my head is that one character gets his head lopped off pretty clean, and there's a bit of blood, but I'm kind of trying to not show too much gore and stuff because I really don't like that. And I think another character gets cleaved in half, but I've done it so that you kind of it only happens off screen, so to say, or off panel. So it's sort of implied.
Would you say that the beheading is somewhat similar to episode 1 of Star Wars, where Darth Maul gets cut in half, but it's not the kind of thing that'll give kids waking nightmares?
I'll say yes. I mean, there wasn't any blood when Darth Maul got cut in half.
Mm-hmm. It looks like you have some art of Derek the Roman that includes a nude wolf rider Valkyrie. So if I'm keeping your character straight and that's Derek the Roman, it's not labeled. So I'm sort of wondering, like, is this not a page from the book, and this is actually, so the book is still kid friendly?
No, it is a page from the book. I don't think it's too bad.
She's pretty small. She's right there.
Right there. No, I know that. But the thing is, like, this is the first page.
Okay.
And this is sort of to recap to sort of show everyone that, there was this war between the gods. And when you think of gods, you think of these giant, well, for me, I think of these giant marble statues, right? It's like, just the power of the human form, I guess, so to say.
I mean, kind of the reason that I ask is that a lot of these stories that I'm thinking of, where you do have this sort of big protector, they are stories that do appeal to young people as well. I mean, they still, if they're well written stories, they can appeal to anyone. And I am totally on board with having a little bit of darkness and serious stakes in kids' stories. I think people have moved away from that too much recently, and we need to get a little bit of darkness back into some stories that kids can read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's true, because that's sort of part of the other, I guess, sort of thing that I'm trying to achieve with Forsaken Gods is just this idea of story, and how stories have been sort of like the running thing that we as humans have been telling each other for centuries, or would you say millennia? Humans haven't been around that much longer, have they?
Yeah, we've been telling stories for thousands of years.
Thousands of years. All right. Yeah, that's fair enough. So
in memoriam.
Yeah, so ever since the day that, humans figured out how to use fire, we've been sitting around the fire and sort of telling stories about the natural world around us, trying to make sense of why things happened the right way they were, and then sort of passing that information down through generations by doing that. And then once we figured out how to create an alphabet and do the written word, then we created books, and we started to put those stories in books. And some of those, some of the oldest and most favored stories are old fairy tales. like the Grimm fairy tales. But the thing is, like there's always two versions of the Grimm fairy tales. There's the nice happy version that the kids see, but then there's the actual original versions, which are really actually quite dark, and they actually tell very important lessons. So.
Oh yes,
the version in Rapunzel where he gets his eyes poked out.
Yeah,
and he becomes blind that way. Yeah. They do get pretty dark.
But
they were used to teach life lessons in a very harsh world that those kids were going to grow up in, and parents really wanted to keep their kids alive. So they told stories to entertain, but also to instill a healthy dose of fear, whereas the sanitized versions are more about just entertainment.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's absolutely correct. So the other thing is like, to instill that sense of fear, they obviously made the stories a bit darker, because the other psychological thing about that is like we as humans tend to, I guess, imprint stronger when we're either motivated by either fear or anger. Mm-hmm. And that's just how we've evolved as a species. That's how we've learned to sort of, evade predators and fight against other tribes who are trying to, wipe us out. And so anyway, this whole idea of using stories to sort of pass down, I guess, information through the generations is sort of the same thing as history, right? Histories are about the great saying, history is written by the victors. In a way, history is our form of stories. It's like nonfiction stories. And, they're about the exploits of whatever great person did, like Lawrence of Arabia is a great example, right? And, there are great lessons that we can learn from history as well. And it's especially true now, and more important now more than ever, considering how, we've had people like tearing down statues of great historical figures and trying to burn books and essentially trying to wipe out culture and history as a result, because culture and history it's a big part of sort of, a society's national identity. It's what helps us sort of form an image in our minds of the kinds of people we want to be. Yeah, not only as individuals, but as a country, right?
Now, is this the Guardian on the screen right now?
Yes, this is the Guardian.
Cool. So what you've been saying really goes along. Thanks. I was just identifying because I'm trying to pick a trading card. But anyway, what you've been saying goes really along with the whole Maps of Meaning lecture series from Jordan Peterson, where it's not just that Grimm's fairy tales were for kids and as warnings. It's that even Greek mythology with the harpies contains warnings for everybody about people of a certain mindset, and so learning about those things, you can learn not to fall into them or to avoid people who have fallen into things like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jordan Peterson. I think all the stuff when he talks about this stuff, because I've watched a lot of his lectures where he talks about this and he kind of breaks it down and sort of explains it quite clearly. It's brilliant. Some of his insights.
One problem I had on his. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Now, one problem I had on his channel was he's got multiple versions of him teaching his classes, and so I don't know like at which point do I jump into the lecture series and where am I wasting my time, and it's repetitive, and some of these are actual classes with really good questions from the students, but others are like I'm not sure on his channel. How do I just sit down and do Maps of Meaning? Just give me that book and lectures. He's got hundreds of videos.
I think he's got to organize his playlists or something. So
I think he's got other things on his mind at the moment. Just going back to the fairy tales things, I always think, and I can't be the only person, when I see this nonsense that you were referring to earlier, tearing down statues and stuff, and I'm always thinking about, did these people doing this, did they not read or learn these fairy tales when they were kids? Like The Emperor Has No Clothes, or The Boy Who Cried Wolf, all these things. It's like they're just playing into these, the things that happen in these stories, and who knows how old those stories are.
Yeah,
but their wisdom that, is valuable. And we're seeing now just how valuable it is, because if you don't have it instilled in you as a child, you can grow up and, you know, act the fool, and it all plays out.
Turn into a little monster, so to say. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I would say the people that we are seeing doing what they're doing now are the kids that grew up where they were raised by their parents' iPhones and iPads,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just fed a diet of just absolute trash. Because I'm sure many people know sort of like there was sort of the scandal that was on YouTube about sort of the content for young kids that was quite inappropriate, sort of not being regulated or monitored in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's what we're seeing right now. Like people have forgotten sort of the old lessons and the old fables, I think. I'll go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think a part of that as well is even the parents that do read them stories now, they're kind of watered down. It's the Disney, just pure entertainment versions of them, and not so much the ones that you get the real lessons from. I don't think there's really that much of a lesson to be learned from a lot of these Disney films. Some of them are good, but
sure. It's all been going downhill.
That's why we have us, independents, bringing it all back. That's so cool to hear, man.
Yeah, so to tie it all around, I kind of want to tap into that and sort of do my own version of sort of myths and mythology. Like I've got my own pantheon of gods in this, and it's on my own sort of realm called Epic Earth. Because the other thing about Skull Knight is like his past, like his history or his origin, is actually quite tragic, but it reads out like something from a fairy tale. That was sort of where I was getting at. I'm sorry it took so long to get there.
That's all right. Us Aussies, we speak slowly, and we're forgiven for it. Tell us a little bit about Samara.
So Samara is the other main character of this book. She's a young woman in her 20s. She's an archaeologist, and she is trying to piece together the reasons as to why this great war between the gods happened and what the reasons were behind it. Like, who did what, where all this stuff is going on, because part of the world that she lives in is populated with all this magic, monsters and dragons who cause a lot of trouble for the humans that were left behind after the war was done. And so in a way, she's sort of trying to figure out how to solve this big problem of these, these scourges that are kind of leftovers, or I guess ghosts from that war, because they were part of sort of like these tactics that the gods would use. They're almost like an analogy for, say, landmines that are still in fields long after, say, a civil war has been and gone, right? Like the shadows of that are still around, and they still can cause harm. And the other reason why she does it is because she's trying to follow in her parents' footsteps, and her parents were a pair of archaeologists as well, and they died under mysterious circumstances. So in a way, she's kind of trying to honor her parents' memory by following in their footsteps. She's when we meet her, she's kind of a bit bossy and kind of a little bit clueless. She's still sort of new to it, but even having said, she tends to jump in head first rather than looking before she leaps, and that gets her in trouble. And then it's only after the fact she realizes just how much she's kind of screwed herself over that she goes, "Yep, well, good work, dumbhead, you done it again." And her brother gives her so much, scolds her so much about that, like saying, you keep doing this, you're going to get killed, and then where we're going to be at. But she, of course, doesn't listen to him. And so she's kind of thrust into this insane situation now that Skull Knight has appeared and is now forcibly in her life, because she now has to figure out how to live a normal life with this giant monster that follows her around everywhere. And the other problem is that because Skull Knight has awoken, the gods that survived the war have realized that that's happened, and so now they see him as a threat to their power, And so they're going to be sending all these crazy things to try and kill Samara and Skull Knight to sort of like, I guess, consolidate that this lone threat, or eliminate this lone threat to whatever power they have left. Because obviously, you know, as we know in some pantheons, the gods are very jealous of their power. They don't want to share it with anyone, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just had someone.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I just want to say, Tatsunami said he tried to back. He said it didn't work with his address.
Well,
I
I
don't
am
know why
only
that would be.
shipping. I am only shipping this to the US right now.
Oh, okay.
Just because international shipping. This is my first campaign, and I obviously haven't made enough to even consider doing international shipping. But also, international shipping is pretty expensive. So,
So are you including shipping in the price of the book or something, or?
well, I think Indiegogo has a thing where you have a separate shipping price that you can input.
Yep, you do. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to check. All right, so it's only available to US people.
Yeah.
To US addresses.
That's. I'll go ahead.
Should the internationals be able to get it digitally on that second perk?
Yeah, that's why I did the digital perk. If you are international and you still want to read this book, you know, that perk is there for you. It's also there for, I know things are tough right now all around. So, you know, I kind of wanted to give people sort of a budget conscious option to still get some fun content.
Look, man, you know, you're funded now.
Yeah.
You know, my advice would be is to just open it up to the world on future campaigns and just, you know, just charge whatever it's going to cost.
That's what that was going to be my plan, because obviously this is my first fulfilled campaign, and I'm kind of learning as I go. So hopefully in the second campaign, I'll start to sort of expand out the shipping a little further.
So what's the kind of feedback? I'm going somewhere with this, but what's the kind of feedback that you got from I almost said Bikini Cowboy. That's wrong, isn't it? It's off my screen now. No, it was
What?
Bikini. Your prior book.
What was the
Bikini.
feedback?
Yeah.
People loved it.
Okay.
When it came out. Today, they hate it because they think it's too political.
Oh.
Which is weird. Well, I made that book specifically to piss everybody off. Like, there's something in there. Doesn't matter what kind of ideology you subscribe to. There's something in there that's going to piss you off.
That's an interesting strategy.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's stuff in there. I'm making fun of feminists, and I'm making fun of conservatives as well.
Yep.
But there was a reason for that, and that was to, I guess, shake people out of their autopilot, so to say, and get them to think about it. Like, I really wanted Bikini Cowboy to be a thinking person's book, or at least to try and get you to sort of start thinking for a minute. And so far, the only way I figured out how to do that is to sort of piss people off a little bit by making fun of them.
Get that actually up.
Yeah, well, and then they, you know, strangely enough, once they get a little pissed off, they're more interested in wanting to find out more, which is really weird. I think there was one review I got on Good Book Reads or something. I forget what the website was, but it was written by this Christian guy, and he said, oh, you know, there's all this anti-Christian stuff in there, and that pissed me off, but that's a good thing because it got me to think. I was like, yes, I did it.
Is it a satirical work?
No, it's like, I don't know how to describe it, man. It's like part satirical, part drama, part philosophical exploration, part spiritual journey, part action adventure. Yeah, it's this massive mixed bag.
Okay, because one of the things that I really like about good satire is that when it is done well, the satirist is an equal opportunity offender.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess maybe that's true. My only advice is, like, if you want to find out, then read it yourself and then draw your own conclusions from that. Because everybody who's read it sees it a different way, which I think, which was what I was aiming for.
Yeah.
Where can people find it?
You could find it. You could buy it for $6 on Comixology if you wanted, or because 4chan really hates me, they've pirated the heck out of it. So you could probably find it online for free.
Is it offered in print anywhere?
Sorry, say that again.
Is it offered in print anywhere?
No, it isn't, because I've sold out and I tried to get it reprinted, and no one wanted it.
You sold out. You're a sellout to the satirists.
No, I printed.
No, he's a
500
bestseller.
I'm kidding. It's the other meaning of sellout. Well, it's good
Oh,
that
I
you.
guess so.
So you were talking earlier about juggling what to do next. Is Forsaken Gods Part 2, reprinting Bikini Cowboy or whatnot. And we have a few creators in Comicsgate who do TikTok between titles and sequels. So it is knowing that if you get to know the Comicsgate audience as you're going to offend us, but we might be okay with that. Then that might be something to consider if you're not sure what to do next. And then it might get your name going and bring more attention to Forsaken Gods, or I don't want to say this is advice, go this way. So I'm just, because I'm not sure. It just food for thought there. Or maybe plotting a steady course with Forsaken Gods twice a year is the way to go.
Maybe, yeah. The other thing is like I really want to do and fund two things. I really want to do and fund like full-on graphic novels, like 200, 300-page graphic novels, right? Like that's my passion, because it's almost like you're making a movie in a strange way.
Yeah,
the full
and
story,
it's this complete thing. Yeah, it's a full story.
Yeah.
The other thing I really want to crowdfund is an independent animated, either short or series. I don't know. I guess how much it would depend on how much got raised. Just because I've worked in animation, and the animation industry is kind of going the same way as the comic book industry, at least here in Hollywood. But that's the thing. It's like I don't know how far I can leap from there. You know what I mean? I've got like a ton of ideas that I want to do and get out there. But I'm not sure what's the good business decision.
Right.
I know that a lot of people are talking about trying to set up animation crowdfunds, and it's a whole different ball game. Yeah, but if you're not someone who's got a name for it already, how do you convince people? Because it's a lot of spec work to put out something that is that is sort of representative of what you're going to be getting at the end of it, as opposed to doing a cover for a comic, which some people can whack out in a day or so. Sometimes you want to get like a 1 minute animation for people. Who knows how long that can take, depending on what kind of animation you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking into it really heavily. I mean, I think there is a way to do it. It's just getting the funds to do it, and you're right. Like, it seems like ever since celebrities started doing crowdfunding, it's made crowdfunding harder for the average person. Like, if you're going to get like a really well-funded crowdfunding, you're a nobody. It's almost like winning the lottery now. I feel like I should have been well-known, considering the amount of the different kinds of animated shows I've worked on. But I'm more infamous now rather than famous, so I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you find yourself in the right spot then.
Oh, is it?
The thing is
that
here. I think we're finding out is that it doesn't really matter unless you're super famous, unless you're a real celebrity. People come to crowdfunding and think that they're going to be able to go off what they've done previously, and people find out that that's just not the case. I know there's a bunch of people who've worked in animation, film, writing, like novels and stuff. And at the end of the day, when you go to the crowdfunding scene, especially the people who back comics on Indiegogo, it's a whole new ball game, and a lot of people do realize they have to kind of start from scratch, and I think that's what you're referring to. It can be a massive uphill battle if you haven't already got that YouTube audience or Twitter audience or something. But
don't get me started about YouTube.
RT Bear's in the house, and he says Forsaken Gods looks amazing. Back this.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming, Art. Thanks for hanging out. We need to get you back on a stream, Art. There's whiskey that needs drinking, and there's shit that needs talking. We need to,
Well, that's why I'm here.
figure
right?
that out at some
To
point.
talk some shit.
No, Albino
Yeah,
isn't keeping his end of the bargain.
Albino gave us that good speech about America.
That's
Freedom.
right.
Wearing that mask.
So, did you guys have any other questions about Forsaken Gods?
Okay,
Um,
why is Derek a romantic and not a Roman? What is this trading card? What
All right. So you're talking about the new add-on perks that I just implemented.
Oh yeah, I dissect every campaign because I have no idea what I'm buying otherwise.
Yeah. So add-on perks, they're amazing. I love them. I just found out about them. They're really great. So you can when you order the base, $22 featured tier, that's the physical tier. And so when you go to checkout, you can also get these add-on perks and add something extra and almost create your own reward tiers in a way. You've got original sketch art, which is black and white pencil art. You've got original color art, which is, I guess, a little more pricey because it's a little bit more awesome. You've got an acrylic standee, but then you've got the variant trading cards where you can choose to have one of each card, and I guess I can go through them considering one of them is Derek. If you
I saw romantic and I thought that does not sound interesting. No.
Oh, well, let me explain it. So these trading cards, they're like a cross between a trading card and a tarot card, sort of keeping in the theme of the book and the meta of the book.
Oh.
So you've got Samara, who is the historian, right? Because she's an archaeologist, and she's almost like a criminal forensic scientist trying to figure out things from the past where just through clues. And then you got the Guardian, who is the sentry. Obviously, he's the one who's guarding the dungeon, and you've seen him in some of the art already. And then you've got Derek, who is this crowdsourced character that me and my followers put together. And Derek is going to be a character in issue 2 of Forsaken Gods. He is a demigod, and he controls fire. But he thinks that he thinks he's a hot shot, and he thinks he's the ladies' man, and he sort of is. Like, he sleeps around a lot because he's been living in this mortal world with no real challenger for like the longest time. Because demigods are in this fiction that I've created, demigods tend to live for super extended periods of time. And they have these amazing powers. And so Derek is sort of like, I won't say too much, but Derek shows up in issue 2, and he doesn't recognize Skull Knight because Derek is still relatively young in the demigod realm. He was born after the war, and so he's trying to take out this massive weapon, and he kind of gets thrown for a loop for the first time in his life, and he doesn't know how to handle it. So. The reason why he's called a romantic is because he's always going around the town that Samara's in and just kind of like sleeping with all the floozies.
When I first misread it as the Roman, I thought, okay, that's badass, and then I read it correctly, and I thought, well, that's less badass. What's going on here? So,
sounds a bit more like he's a slut.
Yeah, he is. He's sort of like this Lothario. He like drinks a lot, and he has this hedonistic lifestyle, and he's like he's an important player in this story because
so he's Comicsgate.
No, let me explain. So he starts out as like just being
we drink a lot.
Yeah, I know, but do you sleep with a lot of chicks all the time?
No, that's kind of gross.
Not me.
Yeah, well that's his thing, right? Because obviously he's a demigod, he's at the top of that hierarchy. There's no mortal man that could really challenge him. And his whole arc is that he starts out as sort of like this dude who hasn't really got much going for his life, doesn't really have any direction. He's just kind of like just fucking around. He's not taking his demigod, status very seriously. And then he goes through this arc of where he realizes maybe the way he's been going about things has been wrong, and he's like torn between sort of like doing what's right by his friends or doing what's right by his family. Because him and Samara, he's known Samara ever since she was really young, and so, when he sees her, he's like, "Hey, baby," and she's like, "You realize you knew me when I was like 12 years old, right?" He's like, "Yeah, but you're looking fine today, right?" And she obviously, because
The
she's
Anakin Skywalker method.
yeah,
Or in
but
reverse.
in reverse, but she's obviously like not having anything that he's doing. It's like she's not having it because she's obviously not super impressed with him. And yeah, so that card is sort of like a preview card of an up and coming character.
Nice.
Okay.
So are the volumes of Forsaken Gods, are you planning those to be standalone volumes or sequential volumes?
Sequential. It's an ongoing story.
Okay.
Okay. So we won't have a complete resolve at the end of volume 1. Just
No.
a beat leading to the next volume. Okay, great.
I mean, theoretically, it could. I got it in such a way where, yeah, it could just be a done and dusted, like a little mini story. But I mean, I've got ever since I started drawing it and sort of the story was building in my head. I just kept adding stuff and going, man, wouldn't this be cool? And wouldn't this be cool? And that would take more issues and yada yada yada.
But it is 60 pages, so it's still a lot of story in each installment.
Well,
so there you got
I think that's just kind of like the way that I've done the book, because I was doing it the old Bikini Cowboy method, because when I printed Bikini Cowboy, it was printed out on digest size, so there's like less panels because I'm trying to make it clearer for the reader when he's going through the pages.
Mhm.
But I think so. That's that format for this book as well. But in issue 2, I'm going to try and pack in more story and less pages so that people get a lot more out of it.
Right on. Well, Luke, our hour is up, my friend.
Wow, that flew by.
That's
Yeah,
how
we're
it goes here.
entertaining
This
over
is the
here.
Blur Show.
I'm sorry, did I
Yeah.
waffle on too long? Or
No.
No, you're
No, not
here.
at all.
You're here to waffle. I know. I'm really happy. This is the sort of thing that you can't get. See, I found out that you're actually, a real deep thinker. You've got a lot of, big plans for these stories, and there's a lot that goes into them and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, that's exactly why we have guests on, for
Awesome.
exactly that reason.
back Forsaken Gods.
Yeah,
Back
it's clear
Forsaken
that there's a lot
Gods.
of consideration put into your story
Exactly.
after listening to you tonight.
Oh, thank.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I tried to do that because I mean, we all know this. Like, there's no one really seems to care about making good stories anymore, and
Right.
and people are hungry for that stuff. So I wanna make something that people will enjoy.
And right now, acrylic standees seem to be the thing.
It's
Well-
Standee Gate all of a sudden.
Well, the thing with standees is it's really easy to sort of pack them because you just lay them flat. So, yeah, that's why it's like a nice compromise.
And guys, I didn't mention it because I didn't want to interrupt our guest when we were sort of just getting to know him a little bit. But Tatsunami, thank you for the they're francs, aren't they? Swiss francs. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He sent me $5 Swiss franc like sticker, and I couldn't see it in StreamYards, but apparently it said higher. So there you go. Thank you for that, Tatsunami. And Artie Bear wants to close up by saying, "Don't forsake this book."
Thank you.
Looks like you got a big fan there in Artie Bear, which is
That's
high
awesome.
praise indeed.
Yeah, no, that's a great honor. Thank you very much.
It is. It is. All right, Luke. We're going to close it up there. Thank you as well to Poland, Blue, and Joe. Always a pleasure to have you guys on here as well, and of course to the mighty chat. It seems like we just seem to be growing and growing month by month, and I mean it's just amazing. So yeah, Luke, there are people out there that are
Yes.
looking for good stories, and they're here in the chat. And yeah, so hopefully you guys can have a consideration for Forsaken Gods and back that if you're in the States, and if you're not, digital's there. And yeah, so Hal, you sexy chat. Thank you, Luke. This has been great, and we'll see all you guys tomorrow with a new guest. All right, bye.
Flat Earth is